Ooh, one moment. It is cold in Michigan right now, 12 degrees. I had to take the dog out. Had to wear my special tiger cap. My friend Todd got this for me a few years back. And Todd is over in Ireland these days, and he's teaching the entire island over there all about baseball. So thanks, Todd. They need that knowledge, and soon we'll be competing against them thanks to you. All right. Big guy right here. This is Cardboard Meditation. Thank you for coming in here for a little self-care, because we're going to go over some cards, and we're going to go over some facts that are just the most, man. You know what I mean? The most. All right. I want to go over a pickup, okay? It's not a baseball card, although I do have some. Carney Lansford. Great third baseman for the Athletics, and who else did he play for? Boston, California. Maybe somebody else too, but he was great. Hit over 300 4 or 5 times in his career with the A's. Was on the 1989 World Series team. In fact, he played in the Little League World Series and in the World Series in 1989. He's a great ball player. And I'm going to tell you why I have his cap in just a moment after I show these cards off, because here's my pickup. This is a game-worn Carney Lansford baseball cap. See, number 4 on the bill. Got some sweat rings around here. Got a little Carney's DNA, I suppose. The reason I like these, the reason I like the Oakland Athletics uniforms and caps is because when I was younger, these guys dominated baseball. They were the big World Series winners back in the early 70s, 72, 3, and 4. And when you're 12, 13, and 14 years old, they seem like the New York Yankees, because the Yankees weren't the dominant team when I was a kid. Oakland was, and so was Baltimore for a while. And then later on, the Yankees came back. But the A's I absolutely loved. I love the swinging A's of that era. And since they're going away, I really wanted something to kind of have some real piece of the game. You know, these are just a snapshot of the game, and I appreciate these a lot, as you can tell. This is a real tangible item that came from a baseball game. And that's most important. That's the most important thing, is that tangible thing to me. So that's my latest pickup. Thank you for letting me indulge myself with that. That's going straight into my my collection. You know what? I got to take this hat off because it's starting to get hot. Whew. Hold on one moment, please. There. That's better. All right. Where'd I leave off? Okay, we did the Yankees, the Oakland A's cap, and it's time to start prepping you for what we're going to do on this episode of Cardboard Meditation. We are going to do the most, man, the most. That's kind of my best hippie impersonation, so if that didn't sound groovy enough for you, I'll work on it. We're going to go over some players, and we're going to take a look at some of the stats that are the most in each separate category. It'll make sense in a minute. And we're going to do this in a multiple choice way. It's going to be like a test for you, but don't worry, it's not going to be on your permanent record, and it won't count towards your grade at the end, so don't worry about that at all. So let's take a look at that right after this.
Hey, baseball fan, time for a little self-care and a few minutes of cardboard meditation. Welcome to the show that features some of baseball's oddest stories and the cardboard slabs that document them. Find peace and joy through baseball cards with your host, the big guy.
In Major League history, what brother combination compiled the most wins? Does that make sense? The most wins with a brother combination. Now, I know what you're thinking, because I thought that way too at first. Gaylord and Jim Perry, and that would have been a great guess. They both won Cy Young Awards, and they were great pitchers. And of course, Jim Perry played for my Detroit Tigers. But That is not the correct answer. However, Gaylord did have 314 wins, which got him into the Hall of Fame. And Jim had 215 wins. That's a total of 529 total wins, and it wasn't enough to take this category. You're going to have to go a little bit higher than that. So I'm thinking, oh, you want to go somewhere a little more obscure. You might want to think about somebody you forgot about, but had some great stats, like the Russell brothers. Well, one of them anyway. You remember the Rushells, right? No? Well, they were Cub players for a while, and Rick had 214 wins back in the 70s and early 80s. And then Paul had 16, so that wasn't enough to really push the needle at all there. But that's a total of 230 wins, and as I said before, he's going to have to go a lot deeper than that to be the brothers combination with the most wins. Now, I bet you're thinking, let's go back in time. Let's go back to the 20s, 30s, early 40s. Maybe it was a brother combo at that time, like Dizzy and Daffy Dean. That would have been a great guess. However, it would have been incorrect. They did have a great year in 1934 when they both teamed up to combine 49 wins that season. Dizzy had 30 and Daffy had 19, and they went on to win the World Series that year. And you know how I know that? Well, they won and beat the Detroit Tigers that year, which I don't know what to say about that. It seems like they're always playing the Cardinals, and the Cardinals, except for 1 year, always win. But at any rate, they had a great season. Daffy threw a no-hitter that year. So that was a magical year for the Cardinals and for the Dean brothers. But did they get enough wins for their entire career to be the owners of the record of the most wins by brothers? No. No, in fact, Dizzy had 150 total wins, which surprised me. I thought he had more than that. And Daffy, just 50. So that's just 200 wins for their total career record. The Gas House Gang, that was the name of that team. That's what the nickname they gave that team. So anyway, you want the answer? Is it time for us to quit horsing around? All right. The brother combination with the most win total in the major leagues were the Necros. Now I see. Now you're going, oh, well, yeah, that's right. That makes sense. You know, Phil threw a no-hitter in 1973, and Joe was a great knuckleball pitcher, and among other things. Phil had 318 wins, which got him into the Hall of Fame, and his brother Joe, 221 wins, which has more wins than some people already in the Hall of Fame. So together they had 539 total wins. Now, I made a joke about Joe throwing something more than just a knuckleball. I remember him getting caught on the mound with when he was playing for the Twins. They came out and they said, "Let me see your pockets," and he tries to flip his pockets out and tosses a fingernail file off to the side, and he got caught and he got suspended. And they said, "Oh, you're doctoring the ball." Well, he was on David Letterman one night, and Letterman asked him, "So are you really doctoring the ball?" And Joe said back, he goes, "Do I look like a doctor to you?" I thought that was pretty funny. Okay, let's stick to this brother theme, because there are a lot of other brothers that hold statistics that are really important and really interesting. So I think let's just stick with that. What brothers combined for the most total base hits in Major League history? Go ahead, just think about it for a minute. Because I know which one you're thinking about. It's the one I thought about when I first read about this. It was the DiMaggios. How about you? Was that your first thought? Well, it'd be a good thought. There's three of them. Think about all the totals there. Well, that would not be the right answer. Let's go over the numbers from the DiMaggios. Well, let's start right with Joe, who had 2,214 hits. He did not have 3,000 hits, incidentally, but 2,214. Dom, his brother, who Joe said was the better player of all three. Yeah, he actually said that. He had 1,188 hits, with Vance coming up with 335 hits. That's a total of 3,737 hits, and that is not the number that holds the record. All right, sticking with those brothers, and again, the three thing kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. How about Benji, Jose, and Yadier Molina? Yeah, that would have been a good guess. Now you're using your noggin because you're thinking, okay, it's maybe not just two brothers. It could be three brothers. Are there any brother combinations with four? Maybe five? The Bottomleys. But we'll just discard them right away. It's not them. Benji, Jose, and Yadi, that's a good choice. But sorry, no. No, Not enough. They all did win World Series. They got rings, all three of them, and they're all catchers. So that's unique too. But here are the numbers by the Molinas. Yadier had 2,168 hits. Benji had 1,317, and Jose had 592, for a total of 4,077 hits. And that ain't enough. Sorry. Let's try one more three-brother set. How's that? How about the Alou brothers? Felipe, Matty, and Jesus. You think that might be the one? They put in some years together. Felipe had 17 years in the league, Matty had 15, and Jesus had 14. Think about all the hits you could accumulate in 30, 40 years. Well, let's take a look at them. Felipe had 2,100 hits. Matty had 1,777 hits. And Jesus had 1,205 hits for a total of 5,094 hits. It's not enough. Nope. The brother combination that holds that record are two Hall of Famers. Two Hall of Famers named Wainer, the Wainer brothers. Now, these fellas were both kind of small in stature, but man could they hit and man could they run. They were amazing athletes. You know the nicknames, right? Big Poison and Little Poison. It's just because one of the smaller guys was bigger than the other one. But here's the story, or at least this is kind of a legend of how it goes. The nicknames come from when they were playing in Brooklyn, and they started calling Paul Big Person and Lloyd the Little Person. But in that famous accent of Brooklyn, it sounded like Big Poison, Little Poison. That's how it's supposed to have started. I don't know if that's true, but man, that's a great story, isn't it? Well, anyway, those were the guys. And here are the numbers from the Wainer brothers. Lloyd had 2,459 hits, while Paul had 3,152, and that's a total of 5,611 hits. They're both in the Hall of Fame, and these Diamond Star cards, I think they're just magnificent. When I was younger, I didn't like them too much. They seemed kind of cartoony. But as I got older, I really learned to adore that feeling from the 30s and 40s when they didn't have photographs to create cards from. They used artist renditions. And that just made me find these to be a little more, I don't know, interesting. So I really do enjoy seeing them now. And I have a few in my collection. Not the Wainer brothers, but I do have a couple of Hall of Famers. But just not these guys. Okay, sticking with that brother combination because it's so much fun. I'm going to ask you now, what brother combination hit the most home runs in Major League history? All right? I've got a couple that you probably didn't think of. The May brothers, Carlos and Lee May. Did you think about those guys? Well, that was a good guess. But Carlos just had 90 home runs. I thought he would have had more. But his brother Lee played for the Reds and the Astros. Well, he had 354. That's a total of 444 home runs and not nearly enough to be the brother combination with the most home runs in Major League history. So let's think about somebody from more recent times, somebody who could really, really rake. How about BJ and Justin Upton? That would have been a great guess. They both hit their 100th home run on the very same night, August 3rd, 2012. That is interesting. Wasn't enough, though. Justin had 325 home runs, and BJ had 164 home runs for a total of 489 home runs. And you're going to have to do way better than that to catch up to the leader of the most home runs by brothers. All right. I've got another one of those three-brother things that I'm sure that you might have thought about. Could it be Clete, Cloyd, and Ken Boyer? Well, you know, Clete and Ken both won Gold Gloves, but that doesn't have any accounting on their ability to hit home runs. And, well, weren't known as prolific hitters. I'm just thinking more in terms of volume here with three brothers. So let's take a look at the numbers they had. Clete had 162 home runs. Ken, the more prolific of the two, had 282 home runs. And Cloyd was a pitcher, so he didn't contribute at all. It was 0 to the 444 home runs, which was the same number the May brothers had. So anyway, they to home run totals, just not enough to get to the top of the following two brothers who hit more home runs than any other brother combination in Major League history. Tommy Aaron and Hank Aaron. Oh, that was sneaky, wasn't it? That was sneaky. Tommy had 13 home runs, and Hank, well, he kind of beat Tommy a little bit with 755. That is a total of 768 total home runs. And, you know, I'm looking at these cards. I love the 64 cards, and Tommy's looks really beautiful here. But this card here, the 1970 card, I put that in there for a reason because it's it's not my favorite Aaron card. My favorite Aaron card is 61. But this is my second favorite because there's a story behind this card that will be the topic, one of the topics of an upcoming video. So I hope you'll remember seeing this as kind of some sort of precursor for the next video. All right, final question. What speed demon holds the record for the most times caught stealing? It has to be Lou Brock, right? He held the league record with 938 stolen bases and was caught stealing 307 times. That's a lot, but that's not the record. Could it be Vince Coleman from the 80s there? He had a career 752 stolen bases, but he got caught stealing only 177 times. Now, it could be my Tiger, Ron LaFleur. He stole 455 bases and was caught stealing 98 times. That's not including the thefts associated with his incarceration. Okay, this may surprise you, but when you think about it, it makes sense. The person that got caught stealing the most was Rickey Henderson. He holds the record for most times caught stealing. You know, it only makes sense. The guy that's stealing the most is going to get caught the most. Rickey holds the record with 1,406 stolen bases and also owns the record of most times caught stealing with 335 times. 335 times. He had a lot of opportunities. That was fun. Did you think that was fun? Thanks for letting me show off my Carney Lansford cap. I really appreciate it. And thanks for joining me here on Cardboard Meditation. I really appreciate your company. And I'd like to ask if you could just subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment because you are an interesting person and I'd love to hear from you. Talk soon.
Cardboard Meditation helps set your mind right. Thank you for watching. Show us your appreciation by clicking the like and subscribe button. Ring the bell while you're at it so you'll know when we upload a new story.